Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating paradox of our modern age. Have you ever wondered why the relentless pressure to constantly reinvent ourselves in the digital era is actually driving an epidemic of chronic burnout? We live in a world that basically demands nonstop optimization. But today, we're going to look at how ancient Hindu philosophy offers a radically different and honestly much healthier approach to navigating modern life. And the best part? We're talking pure, practical psychology here, no need for temples or rituals to make this work for you. Just think for a second about the messaging we're bombarded with every single day. We're constantly told to optimize our morning routines, hustle harder, and treat ourselves like a brand. Society screams that the ultimate goal is to become a totally self-made individual. But here's the catch, right? This endless drive to treat your life like a startup project is exhausting. It's leading to severe role strain, deep exhaustion, and massive imposter syndrome. We're out here trying to be absolutely everything to everyone and winding up feeling like we're nothing in particular. Interestingly, ancient philosophical texts contrast this incredibly exhausting self-made myth with a much more grounded reality, the self-aligned mindset. This is the profound idea that true fulfillment and real psychological health doesn't come from forcing some grand fabricated narrative onto your life. Instead, it comes from making choices that actually resonate with your inherent nature. You stop resisting who you are, and you start aligning with it. And what's really cool is that modern psychology is mirroring this exact concept right now through things like intrinsic motivation and temperament theory. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the modern burnout epidemic. Then we'll break down Sakshi Bhav, which is the witness. After that, we'll explore Samatva, or inner equanimity, followed by Nishkama Karma, meaning detached action. Finally, we'll wrap it all up into your new mental toolkit. Let's get into it. Step one on our journey is Sakshi Bhat, the witness. We have to start by looking inward and learning how to properly observe our own minds, because that's the foundational step before we can change any behavior at all. So the concept here is Sakshi Bhav, which translates roughly to witness consciousness. Get this. The average human mind generates up to 60,000 thoughts every single day. 60,000. And let's be honest, a lot of them are completely random, anxious, or just incredibly negative. Sakshi Bhav is the deep realization that you are not those thoughts. You're simply the observer of them. Making this subtle shift creates a massive psychological buffer against all that inner noise, acting just like what modern therapists call cognitive diffusion. Let's make this super concrete with an example from our sources. Imagine a mother experiencing a random, really intrusive thought about harming her child. If she's fused with her thoughts, she mistakenly believes she is that thought, and naturally, she reacts with sheer terror and crippling guilt. But if she applies that witness mentality, she recognizes it for what it is, simply a random neurological firing. She observes it and just lets the thought pass harmlessly by, like a cloud floating across the sky, completely without judgment. And the science totally backs this up. Modern psychology proves that distancing yourself from your thoughts creates this cognitive diffusion, which physically lowers the activation of your amygdala. That's your brain's primal fight-or-flight alarm system. By practicing this witness mentality, you drastically decrease your emotional reactivity. You literally stop letting your own mind hijack you, buying yourself those critical milliseconds needed to choose a thoughtful response instead of a destructive knee-jerk reaction. All right, moving to part 2, Samatva, finding inner equanimity. Let's look at how observing the mind naturally helps us balance our emotions, especially in a world as unpredictable as ours. Zooming in on Samatva, it translates directly to equanimity. It's this state of deep, unshakable inner stability when you're facing life's constant ups and downs, success and failure, praise and criticism, profit and loss. Now, it is absolutely crucial to note here that we are not talking about apathy. This isn't about shutting down your emotions or turning into a robot. It's a highly developed state where you don't gloat when things go perfectly, and you don't completely crumble when they don't. You just remain incredibly steady. To really grasp the difference between healthy equanimity and toxic indifference, picture this scenario. Say a spouse suddenly loses their job. An indifferent,
apathetic partner might respond with coldness and resentment, maybe saying, well, don't expect me to cover your expenses. But an equanimous, detached partner is fully engaged. They calmly say, I see you're stressed, I care about you, so let's sit down and figure out our finances. They offer rock-solid support and proactive problem solving without absorbing the panic.
And that perfectly illustrates how finding your inner center is the ultimate life hack for modern chaos. Think about the intense stress of the digital age. Toxic social media comparisons, the endless anxiety of your inbox, Slack notifications pinging constantly. Practicing samatva prevents you from getting tossed around by extreme mood swings. It builds this incredible psychological flexibility, so you can adapt to pretty much any adversity while keeping your core sense of peace totally intact. Which brings us to part 3, nishkama karma, or detached action. So we've observed the mind, we've balanced our emotions, but how on earth do we practically apply this to our ambition, our daily grind, and our careers? The secret sauce here is nishkama karma, meaning detached action. It means performing your duties with absolute 100% excellence, but, and here's the kicker, remaining completely detached from the outcome, the reward, or the validation. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? If I don't care about the result, why try hard? But detaching from the result actually frees you from performance anxiety. It allows you to perform at your absolute peak, driven purely by intrinsic motivation and a total obsession with the process itself. Think about your typical modern performance review at work. An employee who is super attached to the outcome gets some negative feedback, and their entire identity just collapses. They think I'm a total failure, why even bother? Anxiety completely paralyzes them. But a detached employee practicing nishkama karma, they hear that exact same feedback and objectively ask, okay, what factors contributed to this and how can I tweak my approach next time? Their self-worth is entirely untouched, making them so much more resilient. It's honestly fascinating how seamlessly nishkama karma maps straight onto the modern cognitive behavioral therapy cycle. The way we perceive our thoughts heavily influences our behaviors, which then directly dictates our feelings. By injecting this concept of non-attachment right into the middle of that cycle, we actually short-circuit the loop of catastrophic overthinking. When you just focus on process-oriented, duty-bound action, you naturally generate feelings of equanimity, which is exactly what modern CBT is trying to achieve. And if you're wondering if this holds up in the real world, the corporate data proves it absolutely does. Look at what happened when the global IT giant Infosys rolled out these exact mindfulness and outcome detachment strategies in their wellness programs. The results were mind-blowing. Their average employee stress dropped from a severe 7.5 out of 10 all the way down to a highly manageable 4.5. That is a massive 40% reduction in stress just by fundamentally shifting the mental framework around work and outcomes. All right, part 4, your new mental toolkit. Let's bring everything we've talked about together into a practical framework that you can use right now to fight burnout and get your mental bandwidth back. Here is your 3-step everyday toolkit. Step 1, observe. Practice Sakshi Bhav to step back and witness your mental noise without judging it or getting fused to it. Step 2, balance. Cultivate samatva to find that emotional center, staying completely steady, no matter if today brings a big win or a tough loss. And step 3, act. Deploy nishkama karma by taking focused, high-quality action while completely letting go of your need to control the final outcome. Ultimately, the biggest takeaway from this explainer is exactly this. Your mind can be your absolute greatest asset, or it can be a source of endless exhaustion. So the question is, are you going to let the modern world and its chaotic algorithms dictate your state of mind? Or are you going to use this ancient toolkit to take the wheel yourself? The piece that follows is entirely up to you.